Hey, good morning. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls, and I'm your host. And today we have a very special guest joining us all the way from Seoul, South Korea, the one and only Michelle Baxter. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to Breakthrough Walls. Like I said, I'm Ken Walls, and I'm your host, Glenn Caldwell. Welcome, brother. How you doing, man? Thank you to everybody who's on here, to anyone who shares this out. You're going to love this woman's story. I literally just met her virtually for the first time. We've been friends on Facebook for a minute, but she is absolutely, I feel her energy. I love it, love it, love it. So I want to welcome my friend Michelle Baxter to the show. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Woo, 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 woo. That's the Arsenio Hall, for anybody.
Nobody knows Arsenio anymore. You got to be old to know.
Although I feel like I'm younger than you, but that's another story. All right. We're in the same.
You are younger than me. I'm old as dirt.
Maybe.
I'm 2 days older than dirt.
Okay. All right.
So Michelle, you are in, and I just found this out this morning. That you're in Seoul, South Korea.
That's right.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Seoul,
why does
South
that surprise
Korea.
you?
I don't know. It just shocked me. I mean, with that New York accent, you probably fit right in.
You can hear it? Really? Because I thought I lost it. No, it's not that thick.
It's not. I mean, I've heard way thicker accents.
I'm from Manhattan. So
are you really?
Yeah, born and raised, Upper West Side.
I got to tell you, can I tell you a story?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I've flown into JFK and I've flown into LaGuardia for layovers, you know. I'd never been in the city ever. And so I have a partnership with a company in Manhattan, and I had to make some other stops. So I'm like, you know what? I'm in Ohio. I'm just going to drive. It's only an 8.5 hour drive to New York City from here. So I'm like, I'm just going to drive over there. I got a couple other stops in PA and I'll just do that. And so I drive into Manhattan, and if you've never been there, oh my gosh, what an unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
But the toll booths, like the going into some tunnel thing,
Yeah.
There's like 6 lanes of traffic backed up for 30 miles. I'm like,
that's normal. Yeah.
What the heck is going on here? But it was really cool driving down 34th Street and seeing the Macy's and it was close to Christmas. So it was pretty, it was an amazing experience. And the people in New York are not like nasty like I always thought.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
They're not. They're so nice. We went to this restaurant for lunch, and so I love New York. I really do. It's the energy. Like, wow, the energy is insane.
And you'd go back.
Huh?
Go back?
Did I or will I?
Will you?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. Look,
Jeffrey Miller says you can take the girl out of Manhattan, but not Manhattan out of the girl.
This is facts.
So let's talk about this. Look, I created this show a couple years ago to help people have a breakthrough in life. And you know, I've had some amazing guests on tell their story. I want to hear your story. Let's start with where you were born and raised.
All right. So I was born and raised in Manhattan.
Okay.
On the Upper West Side. For those who are acquainted with New York, a little bit removed, not too far removed from Columbia University. But I grew up in the projects. So, because
Wow.
people hear Manhattan and they're like, "Ooh, you must have lived in a nice area." No, I grew up in the projects.
There's
Okay, and
projects in Manhattan.
that Ken,
Come
that's
on.
a that's a whole other story. I didn't live on Broadway. I lived off Broadway.
Okay.
Totally different. From avenue to avenue, the neighborhoods are so different. So
Wow.
I was 2 blocks removed from Broadway.
Wow.
Totally different. Projects, drugs. You go to Broadway, totally different story. Because you hear Broadway, you're like, ooh,
2
you have
blocks.
this certain image. 2 blocks removed and
Wow.
totally different. Okay. So grew up in Manhattan and I went to alternative schools. By that meaning, I didn't have traditional education. So, for example, in middle school, in high school, I learned about conspiracies, like who really killed JFK and who really killed Martin. Like I went to those type of schools.
Wow.
But my mother, and this will go into one of my books, she knew me well enough to know that I needed a non-traditional education. So I went to those schools and then I went to the New School University, Eugene Lane College at the New School, which is connected to Parsons, if anyone knows. And
Okay.
that's in the Chelsea area, lower Manhattan. And so, very progressive, but, I'm a Christian. So, there was a clash, right? Of sort of like, my Christian values and like trying to be open minded, right? So I was struggling through that for 4 years.
What
And
was
then
the
after,
what was the clash? Is there a different
okay,
religious base there?
no, it was like, everybody was open to everything.
Okay.
And then as a Christian, it was like, the way I was brought up, it was like, I couldn't be open to everything, right? So, and this we'll get into that because one of my
Yeah.
books talks about sexuality, right? So one of the things that was never spoken about in church was sexuality. It was
Yeah.
a sort of private issue that small groups discussed because
Yeah.
they had a struggle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was really struggling with that, right?
Mm.
And just because I wanted to be open minded, but I wanted to be loyal to the church, right?
Right.
It wasn't
Right.
really about God, it was about being loyal to the church. That's something I learned later, the difference between church and a personal relationship with God. So I was
Yep.
struggling with that for 4 years. I was struggling with that. And then after I graduated, I was broke and bored.
Mm. And
And so
graduated from college.
from college, from Eugene Lang at the New School, I
What
had
was your degree in?
an education with a minor in creative writing.
Okay.
Okay.
All
But
right.
I didn't really want to be a teacher, but it was one of those fallbacks.
Yeah.
Okay. If I can't do what I want, I'll be a teacher.
Got you. Yeah.
So I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I said, okay, I don't want to be a teacher in New York because I know what the education system is like and it's bad because I worked with kids in New York and they've got a lot of hostility and I don't blame them. I don't
Yeah.
blame them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you hear broken homes, but you don't know what they came from. And I worked with those kids and I said, I can't do it,
Right.
but I would like to do it in another country. So I was bored seeing these ads. Would you like to teach English abroad? I was like, okay. And I saw China, I saw Korea, and I saw Japan. Okay. Wow. I took a course, like a TESOL course, like how to teach.
Yeah.
The director said, you know what? I've lived in China, but you should go to Korea. I'm like, what? It's your why are you? And he said, it's your first time. Korea it's between China and Japan. So
Yeah.
it's mild in terms of the attitude, the behavior. And for your first time, I recommend Korea. I didn't know anybody, but I said, yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I had no friends. I had nobody, Ken. But I said, let's do it. Let's get it. Let's go. My mother said, you can't leave without saving money. Okay.
Yeah.
So before you go there, you need to save up X amount of, I'm not going to say how much. So she told me, get a job, save X amount of money, and then I will match it. My mother was great. So I worked, I was a temp. I worked for a temp agency as a receptionist. Save, save, save. So I met, I got to the amount I was supposed to make, and she matched it. And then
Wow.
I left. She matched it. I said, Mom, boom, I made this. I got the money. She wrote the check. I'm matching it. Now you can go. And so I had nobody. I had no friends. I had nothing, but I was excited. And that's pretty much how it went.
What now, I don't know how much, and apparently you don't want to talk about
No,
it.
I'll tell you. I saved. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. So I saved up $2,000.
Okay. So was your
Okay.
mom,
And
was
she
she,
matched it, so it was 4,000.
so she was no longer living in the projects?
No, she was living in the projects,
Oh, for
but she was
real?
working. Now, look, this is going to get into this book, I Am Val, because this is about my mother. So my mother, she didn't go to college. Okay. She
Yeah.
graduated from high school, but she took courses in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So she said, look, I'm gonna master these three things. And if I master these three things, I'm gonna get a job.
Wow.
So she took courses and she mastered those three things: Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. And she ended up working at a hospitality agency in Manhattan. Do you know how hard,
Wow.
first of all,
Yeah.
it's really hard to get a job in general in Manhattan, even at McDonald's. These days, I don't know what it's like.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? To even work
Yeah.
at fast food, like it's not easy.
Right.
So, she worked for a hospitality agency because she was able to just be a little bit better than others. Even though she didn't have a college degree, she excelled those who had a college degree. All
That's
right.
all.
And then she winded up getting promoted, had her own office, all that. So, so she was able to get some good money and save up and help me, all
Go
with a high school
Val.
degree.
Her
Go Val.
name's Val.
Valentis. Her full name is Valentis, but Val is for short.
Go Val. That's
Go Val.
so awesome.
And to do that in Manhattan, I mean, for those of you, if anybody out there who knows New York and knows Manhattan, to get a job with a high school diploma in Manhattan, that's unheard of.
Wow.
That's unheard of. And she did it. And she did it for years. And she was able to support me and my sister. So shout out to her. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So she matched it. You had $4,000 in the bank, and you hopped on a boat or a plane.
Not a, Ken. What's that? Why you said a boat? That's a bit far, Ken. From Manhattan to.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So
not a boat.
You flew over
15
to
hours. Yeah, 15 plus hours. Yeah.
Wow.
15 plus hours. But the good thing is, the job was set. When I got there, the job was set. The housing was set.
Oh, wow.
So this is just something for people if anyone's
and you were there to
teach
English.
Teach English as a second language.
But didn't you need to know South or Korean?
No.
Wow.
And the thing is, when you teach in the classrooms, they don't want you to speak Korean. That's the whole point. Like everything is in English, right? Because you want to get the students to be as fluent as possible. And you want it to be as natural as possible. Yeah. So that was not a requirement. Now, in my personal life, that's something I had to try to do.
Yeah.
But in my working life, it was not a requirement.
That's wow. That's incredible.
It was not a requirement. But I had no friends.
Right. Right. Wow.
I mean, I had some church connections, but they were not my friends.
Yeah.
I didn't feel connected. So I was alone. I was homesick, but I was excited all at the same time.
Yeah.
All at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. So here you are, and you end up in South Korea, fresh off the boat
The
or plane,
plane. Stop it.
right?
Stop it. The
So
plane.
so here you are in South Korea. It sounds like you were pretty young.
Okay. You know what, Ken? I'm not gonna say how old, because there's still some people. I know some people are watching, and they
Uh,
don't. Some people don't. Some people don't know how old I am.
well,
So,
I'm not.
Ken,
I'm not asking how old you are now. I'm
I
saying
was
like you just got
I was
out
in
of
my 20s.
college.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, you
That's
weren't out of
right.
college very long.
No.
Is
So I
that
was in my early 20s,
okay?
and I had no
And you're
direction.
living in a foreign country.
Yeah.
That's
Nah.
insane.
No, but it was exciting.
I'm sure it was, but still, that's that's a that's a huge that's a huge leap.
And the thing is, Ken, when I told my friends from New York, they're like, "Why are you going to South Korea? Why are you leaving New York?" Because in their mind, it's like New York has everything. It
Yeah.
don't make no sense. It doesn't make any sense for you to what's in South Korea? How does South Korea compare to Manhattan? And I was like, it's not about that. I actually said I was bored. Believe it or not, I was bored in Manhattan
Well,
because I grew up there.
Frank Sinatra, for the record, never sang a song about freaking South Korea. So we'll just put
Oh,
that.
is that right? This is news. Breaking news.
No, so you're in South Korea and you're
Yeah,
like, you know nobody. You're in your
nobody.
early 20s. You're like, wow. So how did it go?
Okay. My first year was terrible. Of course, it was rotten because it was my first year, right?
Yeah.
Um, but and this is where it gets into, and we got to talk about one of my books. So I'm just to bring this up. This book here is about an intimate relation. I Am Saul is about an intimate relationship that I developed in my first year. I Am Saul. My first year.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so I developed an intimate relationship with a Korean. Okay. And that shifted everything I thought and felt, right? So
Okay.
for the first 6 months, I was depressed. I was a mess. Then I got into this romantic relationship, and then everything changed. And I said, you know what? I think I'll stay for another year.
Mm,
Um, and so that relationship, right? Because their gender, it's a gender issue, right? Because
mhm.
this relationship was a same sex relationship. Then
Okay.
there was the cultural thing, right? Korean.
Yeah.
And so it was like so much to deal with in my first year, Ken. It was crazy.
Right.
But it made me want to stay a little longer. My intention was to stay for 2 years, but this relationship, it just it made me think long term.
Wow.
Um, and so that's another whole story in itself. Being in a relationship with someone of a different ethnicity,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and the culture is totally different, right? Like
Yeah.
like African American and Korean culture, totally different, right? But so interesting, so interesting. Yeah,
Wow. So you were working,
I was
teaching
working.
teaching
Yep,
English as a second language.
that's right.
In a and is Korea a is it a is the I know in a lot of Asian countries, it's, am I saying that right? Asian countries.
Yeah, it's okay.
There's a more of a male dominance
Mm.
kind of thing going on. Is Korea like that?
Man, I want to be careful. I got to be careful, I want to. I don't know who's watching. No, but um, I'm not educated on the history, but I've heard some about Confucianism, right, from China, and
Yeah.
so that kind of has something to do with it, with the patriarchy, right, and
Yeah.
so that has an influence,
Right.
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 That Confucianism thing from China has an influence on Korea for sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, Now I've been here for over 10 years. So I've seen a shift. When I first came, a lot of women, they were housewives, very traditional roles. But over the years, I've seen a lot of mothers, wives, they're more assertive, they're more confident about what they want. And they're sick
Yeah.
and tired,
Yeah.
because they've been doing what they've been told they had to do. But when they got older, they're like, you know what? I had the kids, I cooked long enough, I washed long enough, and this
Yeah.
is my time. Right. And so this is what I began to see over the years. So now you see a lot of mothers who are working,
Yeah.
who own, they have their own businesses, they have their own academies, they have their own businesses.
Yeah.
So there's been a shift over the years, but
Yeah.
it's still very prevalent, very, especially compared to America.
Right.
Very
Right.
much so, very much so, very traditional in that sense. But there has been a shift.
Yeah. So when you just gave away your age, by the way.
What,
Um
what, what, you know what? I can't. You know what? Can I end this? Can we? You
so
didn't have to bring that
I'm
up. All right.
I'm playing. So you've been there over 10 years.
Yes.
And I'm assuming you're still teaching.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Um,
that's, yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's what.
Well, last year I wrote 2 books,
Okay.
and I wrote that while I was teaching full time, but
Wow.
I was sick and tired.
Yeah.
Right. So what happens is, and I don't know if anybody out there can relate, when you have a dream and you don't follow through, there's kind of like this voice, and it nags at you. Like, what are you doing? Why aren't you doing this? Right? Don't forget about this. So I had this nagging voice in my mind, like, yeah, you're teaching, but that's not your dream.
Right.
And so what happened was the voice, it wasn't a loud voice, it was a constant whisper. It was like a whisper that never faded. It kept speaking to me until I finally did something about it. So around, I don't know, maybe May of last year, I told my boss, I think I'm done. I'm done with this. And I decided that I was going to quit teaching and just focus on writing, meaning like I wouldn't work at all. And so I had enough money saved up where I could just write. And so
Wow.
I did that, and I finished the 2 books. I finished the 2 books here. These 2 books, these babies, my babies, right? I am right. I finished those, and it was the most liberating time, to just not work and to do what I had loved. But I was so scared. I was so scared. And so this is what I want to say to people. If you have a dream, if you have something that you're passionate about, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are. If you really believe in it, you have to follow through with it. But you got to take one step at a time. You got to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
So for me, my starting point was saying I'm not going to work here anymore. Right? That was my bold move to say I quit. I'm done working here. And then the next move was to say let me finish these books. And then I made a plan. And then I followed through with that plan. And then I finished them. And it was tough, right? Because I'm not rich, but I
Yeah.
had enough money for about maybe 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I finished those books in the 6 months. Around that time, I finished it.
Wow.
Um, but then I said to myself, because I had pride, I said, I'm a writer. And if I'm a write, I'm going to go all in. So I
Yeah.
need to quit everything. You're right, right? So I thought I had to quit my job. I thought I had to quit my day job, right? So that's what
Right.
I did. I quit my day job.
Right.
Ha ha, I quit my day job.
Yeah.
I'm not joking, but it's funny looking back. I quit my day job, and it was nice for a
Yeah.
while, for a
Right.
time. But
Right.
then the money started running out, and it wasn't nice anymore, Ken.
Yeah, you don't get rich writing books.
You don't get rich writing books, but you can't tell that to someone whose
Mm,
mind is in the clouds.
you can't.
My mind was in the clouds. So December came, January came. I'm like, Michelle, the money is gone. You need to go back to work. And I had a lot of pride
Yeah.
because I said, no, I'm a writer, and by now I should be selling the books. I should be at this point, and I wasn't. There were times I wasn't selling books, and this is the hard reality as a writer.
Yeah.
You're not, and then on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
It's very tough to get into that, 100 ranking bracket. Very difficult. People are writing ebooks left and right.
Yep.
Some of them are good, some of them are trash, honestly, but they're making money, right? And so it's like I had to really take a step back and say, there's no shame in getting a job. Plus, I need a job. I need it. So this year is when I decided to just put my pride to the side and go back to work. But the good thing is I decided to do it on different terms. So instead of going from full time, I went to part time. So that's what I'm doing now.
Wow.
Um, so and I've in the month, I'm not making the same money. I don't have the same benefits, but I'm happy. I'm
Right.
happy. I'm able
Right.
to take care of myself. Do you know what I'm saying? I can
Yeah.
pay my rent. I have enough food. I have everything that I need. And then I have the time to write, the time and the space to write. So that's where I'm at now.
How
So I
how
just sorry, go ahead.
how many people I'm curious about living in Seoul.
Mm,
Um, how many people live there? What's the population?
I have no idea,
It's
but
it's
it's
it looks more from what I've seen, it looks
mm,
way more condensed than like New York. It looks like there's a lot more people.
yes, there is, but there's a lot more, but there's not the population is not as it's not as big as
Okay. Yeah.
but it is, you're right, it is condensed. And it is a lot more developed than people think. Because, when I came to Korea, I don't know, I had this image in my mind. They don't have, McDonald's, Burger King. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
silly. But they're so developed.
Yeah.
You got to think, right? They've got LG, they've
Yeah.
got Kia Motors, right? Galaxy. A lot of people, there's this battle between Galaxy phones and iPhones, and Galaxy phones are pretty good. So they're actually a lot more developed than people might know.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
and they've done it at a fast pace, right? You think about the war in the 50s, right?
Yeah.
They've been able since the 50s, they have really advanced a lot
Yeah.
in that amount of time. So
Yeah.
it's actually quite impressive what they've been able to do since the war.
Yeah. So what do you do in South Korea for fun?
Ha ha ha.
Well, I mean, what kind do you get out and about in the
Yeah,
city? Do you go out of the city into the is there like I'm sure there is out in the country in Korea. Do you
yeah.
ever get out and about?
Okay. Well, let me tell you what it was like when I first came. So, first of all, I didn't think, again, it's a bad stereotype, it's a bad prejudice, but I just thought Asians, sorry, I didn't think that they really knew how to have fun as we Americans did, right? They were more, they kept to themselves, right? No, it's not like that. It's
It's
not like
not.
that. No, I really want to break this stereotype, this prejudice. So I come here, and one of the first things I see these like these middle-aged men hobbling, and they're like holding each other. I'm like, what is this? And I realize they're drunk.
Oh Lord, have
And
mercy.
so and so there's a culture, right, of like you work hard, right? And you
Yeah,
play hard, right? So
right,
it's really
right.
common. It's called a hueshik. A hueshik is like a company dinner, meaning like after work, you go out with all your coworkers and you eat and you drink and you do it fast. Everything is pali pali, which means quickly, like fast.
Wow.
This is very common on the weekdays, Ken, not the weekend. Okay, so from Monday to about Thursday or Friday, people they go out, they drink, they eat, they get it in. They get it in quickly. And so I was really surprised to see that because you don't see this kind of thing in America, right?
Yeah.
And then there's some hot spots for clubs, right? So for those of you who know, there's Itaewon, there's Gangnam, and there's Hongdae. These are like hot spots for clubbing. So
Mm.
I was really surprised.
Yeah.
People, yeah, surprised. I made a new word.
Right.
I was so surprised. Yeah. People go out, and my friend said to me that Koreans think of themselves as the Italians of Asia.
Oh, wow.
So if you can imagine whatever your perception is of Italia, right? Passionate, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is. So think of it that way. And I would have to agree. They're the Italians of Asia. They're passionate. They like to go out and have a good time. Even during the corona, you
Yeah.
know, people were still out.
Were
We've
they
never
really?
there was never a lockdown here. There's
Oh,
never
there
been a
wasn't?
never.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
they had restrictions
Okay.
that but and those restrictions were not even mandatory. They were strongly, you know,
Suggested.
yes. But here's the thing, they track people. So
Yeah.
that's, there wasn't a lockdown, but they would track you. You got sick, everybody knew it because you get a notification on the phone.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, this person is infected. He was in this area. He's this old. If you were in this area at this time, please come in and get checked. So they would have this. So they don't have a lockdown, but they do track. So you take your pick,
Wow.
right? But it works. Now
Yeah.
I know how people are about privacy. That's
Yeah.
a whole other. But and this is where the American side comes in, right? Because I don't like that, right? I don't want to be tracked. I don't. But
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah.
It did because they found people. They found the people who were sick. They got them tested quickly. And then they found the people who were connected to them and
Yeah.
they got tested.
Yeah.
So it worked.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, people do go out
Yeah.
all the time, all the time. They're nocturnal people, I would say, to a certain degree.
Wow. So what I mean, it sounds like you have no intentions of leaving anytime soon.
That's right. That's exactly right. You hit it.
You don't miss the Big Apple and the snow
now?
and
Oh, Ken, I don't miss it now. I mean, it's definitely I don't. And this is okay, but this is serious though, especially in these times. Watching what's happening in New York from Korea, I went into a mild depression because I've got my friends there. I've got people that I care about there.
yeah, right.
And when I see the statistics, the numbers, and yeah, people say the numbers are deflated, that's another argument.
Yeah.
But there are times I imagine, well, what would it have been like if I was there?
Right.
And it's just such a crazy thing, the way the world works, right? Like how people are positioned in certain times at certain places at certain times, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me to be here in Korea at such a time as this, it was like, it blew my mind, right? Because I could have easily been there now, right? And I could have been sick. Who knows what but the situation in Korea is not as bad, as it is in the States. So I miss it, but I have no desire to go back there now, obviously. But New York is a love and hate relationship. For those of you New Yorkers, you know what I'm talking about. We love it. We love it so much, and we hate it so much.
Right.
With equal intensity.
Right. Right.
So that's how I feel. So I hope maybe in a year, when things settle down, I want to go back. I need that energy. I need that intensity. I need it.
You want to go back to New York?
Not for good. just to
Oh,
visit.
I got you. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, Ken, I don't know how I feel about living there in America.
Yeah.
The longer, for anybody who's lived abroad, the longer you're away, the harder it is to come back. It's
Why?
like a reverse culture shock. Does that
Do
make
you,
sense?
but don't, I mean, don't don't we have freedoms in America that you don't have?
Okay, so give me like, what do you mean? Like, what kind of
I don't
freedoms?
know. Like a gun. I own a
Okay,
bunch of guns.
okay, that's a good example. Yeah, there's no guns here. But Ken, what that's a 50-50 because look at we could look at the misuse of guns.
Well, okay. I'm not saying that there's not crazy people that don't own guns. I had
Mhm.
this discussion with a buddy of mine, and I said, and it's it doesn't matter who it is, but I was saying, look, dude, like I own all kinds of guns,
Mm.
and he's like, yeah, I don't, and I said, I mean, look, man, here's the argument. If I'm sitting in your house right now and we're like upstairs checking out something and I'm showing you something how to use this on the computer and we hear a and somebody comes busting in the downstairs door, are you gonna like
Mm.
call 911 and wait for some guys with guns to show up? Or are you gonna ask me to handle it? Because I will.
That's a good point.
He
That's
said,
a
well,
good
I would definitely ask you to handle it. So again, and this, I don't want to make this about
No, no,
that,
no, it's good. No, it's you have a point for
but
sure.
I think that again, whether it's guns or whatever it is, we're supposed to have we're supposed to have some freedoms in
Mm.
America that most other countries don't have, according to legend. I don't know that to be true
Mhm.
because I've never lived anywhere else. So, what do you see on that front? I mean, we can sit here and say, well, at least in America, they're not tracking us. Yeah, right. Yes, they
Mm.
are. They
Right,
are.
right.
They're you may not have it popping up on your phone saying, "Hey, look at that! Michelle just got tested for coronavirus," but they're definitely tracking us. But do you see a difference in freedoms in any way? I don't know because I've never lived outside of the US.
Well, your example with the guns is a good one. Uh, there's really no way for us to defend our. There's no way. Um,
Taekwondo doesn't
but
work.
okay, but Taekwondo and guns, it's like,
Yeah.
eh,
Do the bad guys have guns in Korea?
no,
No.
no. There's no guns.
None.
Maybe there's no from my no. It's
Wow.
like drugs. Okay, this is, I mean, not to say drugs should be are part of our freedom, but that's another thing. There are certain things, if they happen, it's totally, under the radar. Like you don't know, right?
Wow.
You don't know about it. No, they don't have that stuff
How
here.
is there
The crime
crime?
is low. No, but the crime is low. But it doesn't mean, but then this is where we get to different kinds of crime, right? So for example, in America, I don't know what the main type of crime would be. Would it be, I don't know, like through guns or whatever? But in Korea, it might be like sort of like minor violations of, you know what I mean? Of like as a woman, let's say I'm walking somewhere at night and a man may try to come up on me,
Yeah.
right? He wouldn't even try to touch me per se, but he may just try to be creepy with me. So
Yeah.
you've got these kind of cases that Korean women go through. You got these weird, creepy people
Yeah.
coming up on you. But then I would say, like last year, there was a situation of a guy who had raped, and this was the area where I worked. He had raped the same woman several times,
Wow.
and they couldn't find him. So, and then they put out a post for him, and they couldn't. But these cases. So then this is what I mean. Variations of crime.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the guns, but it may be like violations of people's, privacy and right,
Right.
harassment, those sort of things. This is the kind of things that you might typically see.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you've now written how many books? 3 or
Three,
4? 3.
three, three. Yes, three.
And and over what period of time?
2 books last year.
Okay.
Okay, so
And
I finished the 2 books. I finished the 2 books.
right.
I Am Val and I Am His. That was September. Those were both around the same time. Working full
So
time, finished them.
talk about, you said that I Am Val is about your mother.
Right.
Talk
Yeah, that's
about
this one
that.
here. Um, so the it's basically all of these are memoirs. Okay, all of these are memoirs. But the I Am Val is written not from my perspective. It's written from the perspective of her closest friends. So the voices are, I'm not the main voice. The main voice, for example, is from her brother, from her best friends. Okay? So you are hearing about what it's like for them to know her and their voice.
Wow.
And I am writing it from their perspective. The thing is, do I know my mother's whole life? No. So I had to imagine what it was like what it was like to be my mother
Right.
from the perspective of her friends.
Right.
What was it like for her to grow up in elementary school, in junior high school, in high school?
And did she grow up in New York?
She did.
Okay.
My grandmother, she grew up in Florida, but then she moved Miami, Florida, and then she moved to Manhattan. And just a little quick tidbit about my grandmother, because we grew up in the projects in Manhattan. She was one of the first people to move into that housing development.
Wow.
So she was a legend. She's not alive now, but she was a legend.
So
um,
it was brand new facility when she moved in.
yeah.
How when you say, because I've only seen it on TV, right? So
Mhm.
so what is it, one of those ginormous buildings with thousands of apartments in it? Or
It's
or hundreds or whatever?
Yeah, they vary, but like the particular building the building I was living in was about like 20 floors, and it's usually around that, and they're all the same color.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how you know it's the projects. They're brown.
Uh
Okay, so maybe, I mean, that's putting it in a simple terms, but they're
yeah.
brown, and then they're always situated in a particular area. You would
Yeah.
never see projects, like I said, on Broadway.
Right. Right.
Right? So they're situated in areas where things are underdeveloped, right? So and then you've got stores where they don't have like fresh produce, just a lot of things. They don't have access to things that they should have access to, right?
Yeah.
So this is the sort of the way, right? A lot of floors, they're brown, they're in a sort of underdeveloped neighborhoods. But what makes New York different is because it's so close to the develop. It's
Yeah.
like I said, it's 2 blocks removed. I was 2 blocks removed from Broadway. So when I told people I'm from Manhattan, they thought, oh, I didn't tell them I was from the projects.
Right. Did you, growing up, and I'm kind of backtracking here a little bit, but growing up, did you, I've heard so many stories of, I mean, the majority, I would say, don't get out of the projects. The
Mm,
a majority end up being in that. But I've heard many stories of like you, like I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
I ain't staying in the projects. Did you have that sense, that feeling as a kid growing up, like I ain't I am not staying here. No way am I staying in the projects. Did you ever
That
feel
came,
that?
yes, absolutely. And that came from my mother.
Did
And
it?
again, to go back to the book, I really encourage people look, and I'm not just saying this because I wrote it. Like, you really get an insight into who my mother was like, and that the just the influence that she had.
Wow.
For someone who was in high school to get to a certain position in Manhattan is huge. So she, and this is for my younger sister because I have a sister. She told us, she was like, you can't settle, okay? You're not staying here. You've got to get out. Get out. So when I told her that I was going to go to Korea, she was ecstatic.
Wow.
She was over the moon. She told me later that she cried on her way back home,
From the
right? That
airport.
day from the airport, right? From the airport. She didn't show me because we got to keep it tough. She was kept it tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she told me later she was crying with tears of joy because I got out. And not only did I get out, I left the country. Like that. I didn't even go to. You know how
You said, I ain't going to Ohio. I'm getting the
I ain't
hell
going.
out of
I'm
here.
not going where you are, Ken. That's not. I'm not going to California. I mean, nothing against California.
Yeah.
California's cool. I've been to California. That's all the other way. But it wasn't good enough for me, and she knew that. She was like, you know what, Michelle, you're different, and
Love
and
that.
I embraced it. I embraced it. I said, yes, I am different. I don't want to live in America, but I didn't want to tell people that because I felt like it was weird,
Yeah.
So I saved up my money. She matched it. I told her I was going to Korea. She was like, okay. And then she was really happy for me. She was, every parent is different.
That's so
Some
awesome.
parents might have been like, what? You going where? Right? No. She was like, go. I'm so happy for you. When you leaving? And not like to try to push me out, but because she was so excited for me.
Wow.
And that meant everything to me because I needed that because I was scared. I was nervous. I was scared. I had nobody in Korea. And it meant the world to me that she was 100% behind me.
That's so awesome. So awesome. So, what do you think? I cannot believe we're almost at the end of the hour. That's insane.
Yeah.
So what do you think? And I hold up your most recent book, if you would. I Am His.
My most recent was the one that I am.
I Am Saul. I thought I Am His.
It's
So
okay.
show me
These
the
are
other one too.
Okay, so this is I Am Val. This is about my mother.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
those of you who are interested in memoirs about family and motherhood, relationships between mothers and daughters, and different perspectives and voices, this is I Am Val. And then the second is I Am His. This is for people who are Christians but who have struggled with their faith. I became a Christian when I was 13. But when I got older, I struggled. Okay. And
Yeah.
so this is about my doubts, my fears, my dark times, my experiences. It's not a cookie cutter Christian book. All right. But I recommend it. And then
Love
this is my
that.
most recent book, I Am Saul, which talks about my life here in
Yeah.
Korea and my intimate relationship with a Korean woman when I first came to Korea, and a married Korean woman. So you really got to get this book because it's scandalous.
Oh Lord.
I know that.
Did you just say I'm married?
Ken, this was years ago. I just want to put that out. This was years ago. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm a different person now. Okay.
I got you.
Okay. So it talks about that intimate relationship, the cultural differences, the struggles of being a Christian and struggling in this relationship. Okay. Plus family secrets. We all got secrets, right?
Yeah.
And Saul, because people are like, well, because people ask me, who is Saul? Saul is someone who I grew up with. I'm not going to go into detail, but you've got the feminine, you've got the feminine and the masculine.
Yeah.
So I, from the feminine perspective, try to understand him, Saul, from his masculine perspective, right?
Yeah.
And he is connected to my family and he is connected to a family secret. And his life is connected to my relationship with the married Korean woman. Does that make sense? I hope so.
Wow.
I
Wow.
hope this all makes sense. And they're all connected because the theme is I am, right? I am Val. I am Saul. I am his. So all of these books are connected, right? So you'll see the characters kind of flowing within the 3 books. And why is it called I am? Because I am speaking from the perspective of someone else. So I am trying to imagine what it's like to be Saul, what it's like to be Val, right? So
Yeah.
it's my perspective, it's in their voice, right? And so I'm just like an afterthought. My voice in these books are an afterthought. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I just lost your. Oh, there you're back. Your video flickered for a second.
Okay, you got me?
You're good. So let me ask you, how much, especially after what happened in Minnesota yesterday or 2 days ago, I guess.
Mhm.
We have some work to do here in the United States when it comes to the racial divide. It's absolutely heartbreaking to me. Blows my mind that we are still
Yeah.
it just blows me away. I mean, absolutely blows me away what happened. And I think a lot of people are pissed off about it. I am pissed off about it. I think
Mhm.
but we gotta make some changes. But my question for you is more about South Korea. How much does race come into play? And we talked a little bit about this before we started. How much do you see race coming into play in South Korea? Is it like is it as like it is here? Is it?
I'm so glad you asked that question.
Well, look, I gotta, we gotta make some freaking changes, man. I'm like, I mean, of course, and anybody says, I don't see color. Yes, you do. Shut the
They
hell
do.
up.
Right.
Everybody does, but
Right.
like, we can embrace our differences and not be all nasty and hateful. And
Yeah.
but what's it like in
Yeah.
South Korea?
Ken, you need to bring me back again because this is a whole other issue, and I could write the book, and I just might.
Do it.
Now, I will. And actually, I am. I'm in the process, but it's real. First of all, you got to think this is a homogenous country. They don't see black people. They don't, people of color in general, okay?
Yeah.
Not just black people, Latinos,
Yeah.
When I came here over 10 years ago, it was bad. It was real bad. I had people talking about me in Korean, saying all kinds of bad things about me. They would touch my hair, right? They would move like
They would touch your
they
hair.
would without asking. And they
Oh, for real?
for real.
Oh my God.
If you did that in America, I told them, I said, you can't do that in
Your
America.
ass will-
You might get shot. Sadly. And that's not even exaggeration. We know that's not an exaggeration. So they would touch my hair. They would talk about me. They would move. Like if they were sitting next to me, they may move to another seat.
Oh my.
Okay. They would people point at me. They would point. The kids, they would point at me. The kids would run behind their mother, hide behind because they were scared of me.
What?
Yes, Ken. Yes. Then you'd have these silly remarks, like these teenagers who'd walk past, like, yo, 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 what's up? Like, yo, all these ridiculous, silly things, right? Or you must be from Africa. I'm glad you think this is funny.
Hold on. I say yo, yo, yo.
You could do that, but it's different when it's in Asia
Yeah.
because
With
because
this
it's
little
coming
Asian
from a
kid.
different place. They're
Yo,
not they don't say yo regular. It's not like a regular part of their lives. They did it because they saw me. They walked past me. And you know
oh,
what's weird? They would walk past me and they would ask me a question after they passed by. So, for example, they passed by me and be like, "Hey, yo, what's up?" So they would ask me a question
yeah.
after they passed by me because that's that passive aggressive nature. Do you
Wow.
know what I mean? So they can't actually confront me and say, "Hey, yo, what's up? How are you?" So after they passed me, they would be like, "Hey, yo, what's up?" It's so ridiculous, you know? I don't
That's
care if you
great.
say, "Hey, yo, what's up?" But
Right.
don't do it after you've passed by and you know you don't talk like that regularly. So why are you doing it? I can't tell you how many times I've been to a restaurant and all of a sudden they start talking English and talking about, yeah, in Africa and Jamaica. I'm like, you know, you don't care about no Africa and Jamaica. But when I came in here, now you want to have a conversation and this is how it
Oh.
is.
Have
But when,
you ever seen the movie Office Space?
yes.
Where the white dude's bumping that rap music in the beginning and the black dude's coming down and he turns it down.
That's real.
I know, but it's stupid. Like
It is stupid.
I'm just like, look, there's times when I'm rolling, I'm bumping rap music, man. I
Uh,
don't turn it down.
don't
Like,
turn it down.
no, like,
Yeah. Be proud.
anyway, it's crazy, man. People
But
are,
that's how it is. But when Obama became president,
yeah,
there was a big shift. Now they were
yeah,
like, we love black
yeah,
people because my
yeah,
name is Michelle.
yeah.
So then they started calling me Michelle Obama. So
Oh, wow,
corny. So corny. You know, it's like
wow.
womp womp. You know, your name is Michelle. Oh, Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama. So that was I
I
was
have
Michelle Obama.
these little Korean kids going yo yo yo. So
As
so
they
so let me ask you this, and I'm like yesterday I got a phone call. My buddy Mark Victor Hansen, right? He's the world record holder in number of books sold on planet Earth. He's sold over 600 million books. Chicken Soup for the Soul. That's his book. That's his
oh,
books.
okay.
Books, right? And so like I know and Mark and I were talking about this program he has to help people write a book, and it's an amazing program, and I'm helping him with this, and I did a live stream about this last night. I put off writing a book for 25 years. I
Hmm.
was 48 years old when I finally published my book. And I'm 47, 48. I don't, yeah, something like that. And when I did it, I was like, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be for 20
Exactly.
years. So like, what do you think? Because I think most people have a book in them. Most people,
I
not
agree.
everybody, but I think most people do. And my question for you is, what do you think, and not just with writing a book, but in life in general, what do you think holds people back? Don't say fear. That's the number one answer. What do you think holds people back? And maybe it is fear. I don't know. What holds them back from writing that book, from taking that leap, from getting on a freaking plane and moving to South Korea or China or wherever they want to go? What do you think is holding people back in life?
Okay, I'm not gonna say fear, but I do think that's a part of it. So,
Sure.
but thank you for taking one of my answers away. But I would say a lack of discipline because I can't tell you how many people, when I told them I wrote a book, all said, "Me, oh yeah, I'm gonna
Wow.
write a book. I got a plan," and they never wrote it.
Yeah.
And and the reason is that there's no discipline. You've got to be disciplined. And my mother always taught me if you want something, it's going to show. It's going to show, right? So, people say this and they say that, but at the end of the day, what have you done to show that you really want that? So I would say it's a lack of dedication, commitment, and discipline. You know, if you are willing to put the work in, make a plan, and stick with it, this is also the
Right.
key. You gotta stick with it,
Yeah.
right? If you make a plan and you follow through and stick with it, you can do it. But if you say you're gonna do it and you don't have a plan, it's not gonna happen. So
People,
you gotta it's a lack of discipline, Ken, and lack of commitment, and you gotta stay with it to the end. It doesn't, and then the thing is, I had a lot of bad experiences, right? I was going through a lot when when I wrote these two books, but I was working full time.
yeah,
But I did it because this I was committed.
right,
So words don't mean anything if
right.
you don't follow through and then see it through. Follow through and see it through. That's
Finish,
what I think. Finish it.
finish. Do you know
Finish
how many millions of books there are that were started and never
and
finished?
never finished.
And they died. They went to their
Sad.
graves with their music still in them.
Sad. And you know what? Some people, they were like halfway there. If only, man, if only they would have went that extra mile. They could have done it,
I'm
right?
telling you.
And once you do the first one, it builds your confidence. Now you're like, okay, I got this.
Yeah,
You do one. And that's what happened with me. I did one, got it, then the next one. I wouldn't say it was easier, but it was a little easier because I already did one. So I knew I could do it, and you can do it. That's what I want to say to people, right? So,
yeah,
yeah, the fear is one thing. Don't talk about it. Do it. So
right.
start, make a plan. First of all, make a plan.
Yeah,
I don't like plans, but you got to do it.
yeah,
Make a plan, an outline, however you want it, and then follow through with it and see
yeah,
it through no matter what happens, right? So, I mean, you could have deaths in your family, you could have catastrophes, you could have pandemics,
yeah,
but if this is what you want, ain't nothing gonna stop you. So you gotta really want it.
yeah,
And like you said, you gotta finish it. Make a plan, follow through, see it through, and finish it. Finish it. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. Okay? Don't get caught up in, oh, well, it's been a year. No, just keep going. Take baby steps. The more steps you take, eventually eventually you're going to get there, right? But if
yeah.
you take no steps, you get nowhere,
And
right?
I think that my buddy Grant Cardone talks about writing your goals down twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. And he says, and I remember hearing that like the first time thinking, who does that? That's insane. Like, but he says most people write their goals down once at the beginning of the year on January the 2nd, because
It's not enough.
January 1st, they're recovering from their hangover. January 2nd, write your goals down, tuck them away, put them in a drawer somewhere, and move on with your life. And he says, if you write your goals down twice a day, 365 days a year, at the end of that year, you've written your goals. What is that? 730 times, right?
Wow.
And he goes, who's got a better shot at accomplishing their goals and achieving more in
Yes.
life? The one that did it 730 times in 1 year, or the one that did it once?
Facts. That's
Right?
right.
It's the how do you bust how does the guy swinging the hammer break the giant boulder? One strike at a time, man. Eventually it's going to crack. Eventually you're going to split it.
And you know
So
what, Ken? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go on, go ahead.
And you know what? It's like I'm a Christian, but I'm gonna go beyond. I'm gonna get new agey here. There's a supernatural power that's at work. I really believe this. When
Yeah,
you write down your goals, things start to come to you.
yep,
I really believe that.
yeah,
I wrote down my goals. I make weekly goals.
yeah,
Okay, I write them. But the way you said it, that's probably better. Things started. I'm here. I'm here with you now because of our mutual friend. I never
yeah,
would have thought I would have been here now. That was not my goal.
right,
But when you start to put things in place and you write them down and you really believe them, you're going to start attracting things.
That's right.
It really, I'm telling you, and as a Christian, I'm not even being, this is facts. It really, you're going to attract things, right? Because you believe with it, because you stick with it, because you
Yep.
wrote it down, and then you're living those things out, right? So
Yep.
once I wrote those goals out, I began to live them out. Does that make sense? Like I began to live in expectation of those
Yeah.
things. Like I expect these things to happen.
And I think most people are going through life expecting bad things.
Mm.
I
And
think
that's what they
most,
get.
but a lot of people, you know, I don't like, people are like, did you see what it said on the news? No, I haven't watched the news in 12 years.
Right.
12 years. I have not watched. No, I ain't gonna like, look, there's only one thing the news wants to do, and that's they want to implant fear in me,
This
because
is
if
true.
they implant enough fear, I'll keep coming back for more.
Right.
It's like a drug dealer giving the drug dealers are notorious for giving your first couple of hits,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they know that, man, they get you on that first or second run, you're coming back for more.
You're hooked.
You're hooked.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. You haven't watched it. But okay, so how do you, I guess you get your news from other people? Like
Look, if the world's coming to an end, I'll find out.
oh, you'll know it.
I'll
And you're
know.
gonna feel it. You're probably gonna you'll
I'll
probably
know.
feel, yeah, yeah.
Be like, whoa, there was a tornado coming. You
Exactly.
didn't know. The
Exactly.
sirens didn't work, I guess. I don't know. But you know, look, I just don't, it's GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So whatever you're feeding your mind with is what you're gonna put out to the world, and it will be reflected in your life. So I choose to not put that garbage in my mind. I just don't. Don't watch CNN, don't watch Fox News, don't watch any of it. None.
Good, good. Agree.
None.
Me too. Unfortunately, I have felt trapped to, this stuff with Corona just because I want to stay update. But, I know it's a trap. Like at the end of the day, I know that I don't have to do that. And I want to be better at not giving into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I applaud you for that because 12
Well,
years. Yeah.
I'm just, it was many years ago that that I just I let it go. So, but Michelle, we're over
We're
time.
over. Yeah,
And
sorry.
that's okay. It's my show. It's the internet. It doesn't matter. But I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your and being vulnerable and sharing your experience and your energy is amazing. I love your energy. It's absolutely phenomenal. So thank you for coming on and sharing your heart and your see people from New York are awesome.
Tell them, Ken. Tell them.
They are.
They don't listen to me because I'm from New York. They got to hear from somebody who's outside of New York. They from Ohio. You heard that, everybody? He's from Ohio. That's totally different.
I'm in the middle of nowhere, Ohio, too. So look, I appreciate you. I love your heart, love your energy. You're amazing. Everybody go over to M Bax Books. I have it scrolling across the bottom. MBax.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
you can find my books there. Thank you. Thank you.
All of the books are there. I'm sure they're on Amazon as well.
They are. Thank you.
So, hey, you are amazing. You have new friends on here. I think you've got some friend requests waiting for you on Facebook.
Yay.
Yeah. So, and I forgot to ask you to share this out. So make sure you go share this on your timeline as well when we get off here. So
I will.
I forgot to ask you to do that. Anyway, so Michelle, thank you so much for being on here. Thank you. And don't hang up on me yet.
Okay,
Just
I won't.
tight. I'm going to end the live stream. So thank you to everybody who's shared this out. Thank you to everyone who's watched and the comments. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Likewise.
All right. We'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks so much and have a great day.